All right, I will call this meeting to order at 7:30. Yeah, please. Will you please call the roll, Mr. Clerk?
I will. Supervisor Schuster Eisenberg.
Here.
Is that's your church wall with us online?
No.
No, okay. Trustee Rubin.
Here.
Trustee Moser. Trustee Robbins. And Administrator and Deputy Clerk Hopkins.
Here.
And we have our Communications Director online. And Trustee Cassell McNally.
Here.
We could not hear you, Kate.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kate. I didn't know.
I'm here.
Okay, we got a thumbs up. Well,
Okay,
we
and so Madam Supervisor, we do have a quorum for business.
Thank you. Oh, that is important. For you, I can. One moment. We want everyone to be able to see all those of you online. I'm sure it doesn't do anything. All right, fabulous. We'll now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we have not seen each other for a bit, so there's a couple things to report. I'm sure I'm going to miss some stuff, but I'll try to hit the highlights. I participated in the TIF, Tax and Increment Funding meeting for Kenilworth, which we're a member, to discuss the use of their TIF district, which is for the rejuvenation of Green Bay Road. They have not made any expenditures yet, but intend to do so. They're discussing additional condos, which will theoretically open up homes as people want to age in place. As represent the township, I noted that I wondered whether those developments would be considering affordable housing, and that the village manager noted that will be a part of the discussion as they assess the various proposals. At the end of the meeting, after we had already adjourned, a member of the public did come in who was concerned that the TIF district had not made any expenditures yet. Otherwise, because it was very expeditious. We had our agency lunch, one of the highlights of the year, up here. We had art from our place, which sadly is down now, but because we transitioned to our next art installation, but it was well received. I'm hoping we have less time between.
It's supposed to be coming the 15th or the 16th.
Wonderful.
Steve told me.
Great. So we'll have our next installation coming soon. As always, the agency lunch is a great opportunity for people to not only, get their checks, which is always a highlight, but to network with each other. And a number of agencies have told me that they were able to find areas where they could work together and collaborate because of the lunch, which was really wonderful. There's also an opportunity for Steve to announce the electronic submission of grant applications, which, as he mentioned in the report, literally received yelps of excitement. So if you would like hard copies, we will get you one. I think that will be something we can accommodate. Yes. We had a nice meeting between NAMI, Cook County North Suburban, who has a new executive director, Bree, as well as the New Trier High School. They had asked us to set up a meeting between us three to discuss areas where we can work on mental health and destigmatization. New Trier has really made mental health, the high school has made mental health a cornerstone of their program. NAMI was extremely excited to hear about the inroads they've made. They're saying that we're steps ahead in this community over others, but there are areas where we think we could see additional collaboration. As far as youth programming goes. Absolutely. It was lovely. And it was a nice day out over at hometown.
And Steve was there as well to get to know Manami more. But it's also nice to have a good connection with the principal for student life over at the high school. One thing that was interesting that I wanted to report out was they also have put more of an emphasis on restorative justice in their disciplinary programs. And I asked if that meant that disciplinary infractions that could otherwise have been criminal were not being referred to the police stations, and she did believe that that was the case. So not that, I don't consider them competitors, but it may explain some of the decrease in usage in the peer jury program. But we should be proud of their program as well, and work collaboratively with them. We also had a meeting of the libraries from New Trier Township to talk about our little free pantry idea, which has taken some time to get off the ground, literally in this case. And there were a lot of questions. Winnetka has been very helpful. They were familiar with the project. Kate did a great job in introducing us to them. We were able to answer the questions that Glencoe and Wilmette had. At this point, Glencoe sadly has decided they are not interested in participating. Winnetka and Wilmette are still in the process of getting board approval. The plan is for them to do that in August or September, so that we can have the Girl Scout troops or Boy Scout troops build the pantries in the fall with a rollout of the program in the spring when the ground thaws. But this is not, we wouldn't be literally breaking new ground here. It would be literally, but not figuratively breaking new ground here, because not Northfield has these all over. I'm not Northfield, Niles has them all over. This is a national project, but it's really just a matter of getting people to know about the pantry and bring food where they might be. So hopefully that program will go on. I also had a lovely meeting with representatives from Christchurch, who have been huge supporters of the food pantry. They had some great ideas for how we can improve, including setting up a Amazon wish list, which they have done for us, and we will be trying to utilize outside of the church as well, so people can send donations directly to us. Yeah, and then we can also just keep it updated with what our current needs are. That was wonderful. They just wanted to see more, they wanted to see the statistics that we're getting at the board to some of these bigger donors who want to know that their money is being used appropriately, and it seemed smart. Let's see here. We just had our power of attorney clinic up here. It was small but mighty. Those who did participate certainly saw a huge benefit from being able to have our partners from the North Shore Legal Aid Clinic here to help them with their power of attorney forms, as well as getting them notarized. We'll hopefully continue that process going forward. I ran into Susan Schulman at the art fair, the director of the clinic, and she pointed out that we'll also hope to do another one of the senior citizen power of attorney for healthcare clinics as well, which we had done in partnership with the North Shore Senior Center in the past. So we'll get that set up. I'll let Jerome talk about the TAC conference, since other than that, we at New Trier are very proud that Jerome was elected to be the secretary. We did not meet in July. Just to note that we participated in 2 parades, Winnetka and Glencoe. Kate and her girls, who are expert Winnetka marchers, did a wonderful job. I swear, like, we should be. They're the best interns we've ever had. And very booming voices. And Julia, my kid, who's also a professional parade goer at this point, helped me with Glencoe. And special thanks to Julie for organizing those and coming and participating, because yes, we would, at least for Glencoe, it would have been physically impossible to both hold the sign and hand out things at the same time without her. But thankfully they were as uneventful as we want them to be. Our intern Madeline has been doing a great job here. If you haven't seen the Barbie reel, have you seen this? Stefan? Okay, we'll show it to you afterwards. Yeah, it's fantastic, literally, because there's Barbie's on this. But yeah, Barbie came to New Township. She made donations to the food pantry and to Bernie's Books Bank and got herself a very tiny passport, and it was the cutest thing ever. And it's gotten a lot of views on social media. So between her and, of course, our biggest staff change, we welcomed Melanie, who's on the line as well, to our staff. We had, and there she is, we had a lot of interest in this position, in the communications and outreach position. I believe I had about 35 applicants, and I only had it open for a week, I'd say, before I closed applications. I'd say about a third were good applicants, had some sort of social media or communications experience. I decided to interview only those who also had some sort of government interest suggested by their resume and application. And Melanie came out on top and thankfully said yes. She comes to us directly from her master's in public policy at Harris School, and made the shift from doing the entertainment industry into government. Well, shift back, because if you look at her resume, which is in your packet, you'll see that she had worked for the Federal Defender's Office. The Federal Defenders or Public Defenders. And then more recently at the Water Regulation, but so certainly coming back to that interest. Does anyone have questions for Melanie? Oh, it was supposed to be.
It is. It should be in everybody's packet.
You want to pass this one over to Elliot?
Melanie, I'm gonna kick it off. I'm really excited you're here. I've been looking forward to all your, I am already looking forward to your help with a bunch of things.
Absolutely. And she's jumping right in, as you saw in her communications report, meeting with the business community, meeting with various interests. And I'm very excited for her to be involved in our wellness fair coming up, and currently working with the treasurer's office in our place to do a program on ABLE accounts. So that's very exciting, but we can't hear anything. Will someone try talking for a sec?
Hi. Hi, this is Kate.
Oh, let me turn this up a
Oh,
little bit.
yes. So we wish Julie well, and she was very professional with the exit process. She gave us as much notice as humanly possible, but she got a great offer. And what are you going to do? But she is going to be nearby. She's over at Regina. She'll be there for the shredding event. Exactly, kind of how it happened. So, but she's been very helpful with the transition, always offering Melanie she needs. We had hoped to have a little bit more overlap, but we did have, we were able to transition pretty well. So, yeah, anything else from Melanie? Melanie, anything you want to say to the board?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we're good now. Yay.
Hi. Yeah, I think this is my 4th week now. It's been nice being in New Trier. I'm originally from Niles Township, so I sort of know the north suburban area a bit. And yeah, I'm excited to be here for my first job post grad school.
Exactly. We're excited to have you. Speaking of Niles, they now offer yoga in their food pantry garden. And I attended that with some of their trustees. So if you're interested, it's available on Saturdays. We do not have room for a garden, so we cannot have one made out. Let's see, anything else fun? As you might have noticed on your way in, there is significant construction on the Elm Street streetscape project. Sadly, that could go a while. I believe the notice we got from Winnetka said possibly through October. We have been working with them. As you can see, there's additional 15-minute parking spaces in addressing our earlier concerns about pantry clients not being able to access. I haven't seen it be that there's no parking there. with the
There's
15.
parking.
It's been okay. But
But
yes.
we have to, the people who can't get here, well, due to disability, Brian will, go out, or any of us will go out and take the stuff to people's cars.
Yes.
It can get a little crazy in that parking when hometown is very busy at like lunch, but
Exactly.
for the most part, there is parking.
And you might have seen that we are starting to do a food rescue program with Hometown. So they are donating some of their leftover goods to us as well. And that was kind of in response to actually a constituent email. We said, some of these other pantries are getting a lot of food rescue from Jewel, from other places. And I'd had these conversations with Brian in the past, and as he noted in his report, a lot of these stores had wanted us to take full pallets that we really could not take. But it's time to just try again and see what people are saying now. So he is undertaking that. He's talked to obviously Hometown. We're on the wait list for Trader Joe's. Hopefully Jewel will come through again. But obviously they're a huge supporter with letting us do our food drives outside of also. Yes, especially with things like baked goods, especially.
To push that other stuff in front of the line
Yes,
and to get it out before it's spoiled.
it's true. Especially when we would be getting, X amount of breads or something like that. Then we can certainly freeze some baked goods. We do have limited capacity and we have to be aware of that. Yes. So we do still have a relationship with them. We do still do a lot of our food drives out there. And we've been getting our produce bags still from them. But we are making more of an effort to buy in bulk. So less of the shelf staples from them. Wonderful. Absolutely. It's a good point. Staff training wise, we had our Narcan training here. So sadly, overdoses are something that we need to be prepared to deal with. So as we have our Narcan is now located near our defibrillator and our first aid kit. So all one-stop shop. So if you do need that when dealing with a client or a resident. Some dates to keep in mind. If you have questions about your role or anybody else's role, Toy is having their Q&A on August 11th. It's on Zoom, which can be entertaining. Some other dates to keep in mind: August 11th, before and after care scholarships are due, the applications, so we can get those going for the new school year. And then also save the date for October 11th, the state of the village. Any questions on my reports?
Or Steve is becoming known as his Jerome. I
Fabulous.
signed him, well, Steve signed himself up. I signed Jerome up yesterday. So that we can actually offer notary services.
You all know, Len had been a notary, is a notary. Diane had been a notary. We had been saying, oh yeah, you can come and get notarized, but it was really not being offered. So we want that to come back. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's the plan. Okay. So we are now in line for the approval of the minutes from May 9th. Let's start with May 9th. We'll go in order.
I just wanted to make a report. I'm very proud
Let's do
that
this.
Gail had support and confidence that I could do it. And I'm particularly grateful. I know you've heard me say to Larisha at Denby Court. She really did so much. She helped me. But these are me and I'm proud of it. And there could be errors. And of course, I just want to remind board members that it's always a draft until you approve. So any additions don't amend or they just fix the draft. So So if you're wondering why I don't say as amended, and it's because the fun, you're making it better by picking up any mistakes. But I'm very pleased they were included in the board packet. Woo. And it's mental training for my mind. I highly suggest if anyone needs stroke therapy, try to do minutes. Do them at home, friends and relatives. Oh boy, it's really challenging to capture what you say. And I do want to remind you of something, a very experienced clerk. It's not a transcript like those, like the executive section one. It's not a transcript, but it's supposed to capture the significant things. And I hope I captured them right, but you're welcome.
Looking at the May 9th minutes, is there any discussion?
Let's be careful with supernatural. They were both quite excellent.
Well done. All right, seeing no revisions, all those in favor of approving the May 9th, 2023 minutes, please say aye.
Who moved?
Oh, is there a motion for approval?
So,
Elliot, any second? Danielle, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. We're now looking at the June 13th, 2023 minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
comment,
Well, first a motion, and then we'll open.
so moved.
And a second. Okay, discussion.
On page 2 of 4, the very bottom line. I would insert one word Jerome. It says, he referred to the police style officer. I think that the word back comes in before the. So he referred back. Okay.
Any other changes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the June 13th, 2023 minutes, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none.
Also can't hear Robin.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't see the chat. Thank you for seeing it. Mary, we're addressing your concern in a moment. Elliot, use your court voice.
Oh.
All right. Okay, so as you are all aware, closed sessions are recorded, and the recordings are kept for the Open Meetings Act. We must keep those tapes for at least 18 months, at that which time we may destroy them. We have a responsibility to review whether there is an interest, whether there's a continued interest in keeping the minutes of the closed sessions confidential, and approve those minutes. As a result, we have created a electronic transcript of the meetings from the recordings to avoid having to create to listen to the extremely long recordings, since we do have a verbatim record. Certainly the transcripts are not perfect, but they do get the gist across. You should have received a copy in your email since they were copious. Is there a motion to approve the executive session minutes as presented,
Approved, but
not publish?
so moved. But I do want to comment, is that voice navigation generated? Because they were so, you
Yeah.
said verbatim, I think verbatim is generous.
Well, the
They were-
recording is verbatim. The transcription was voice to
It was voice
transcript.
navigation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever system you used was not up to par.
We'll look for a better system for the future.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
There were
hard to
certainly-
get the gist of it, but I did get.
exactly.
Did anyone else look at those? Yeah,
Yes,
it was good.
it was a little triggering. Anybody have any comments or questions?
I have to say, I've been so many trainings on first, this is like something we get excited about. But the best news is that Township doesn't use it.
No.
Because you have to be very careful, you have to follow the exact guideline. There was a meeting years ago, right, for any history book, where Stefan was present, and they started talking about things that violated the rules of the thing. And I had to actually get up and leave. I said, I can't be part of it because they were willfully violating, not that there's any. Still, you remember that, Stefan? It was like you can't do this, you can't do it. So I guess I'm complimenting the supervisor in that they always say that it should be very limited when you need executive session. It must
Yes.
pertain to executive things. And the best thing is that you don't have to do that.
Exactly. All right, so all those in favor of approving the minutes of those executive sessions, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, they're approved. I'd also like to have a determination on the record that the need for confidentiality still exists as to all or part of these minutes. Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. It is any opposed? Kate was an aye as well. Seeing none, those are approved.
This is the need for confidentiality still exists, and they want me
I will hand you the statute. That the need for confidentiality.
to- Okay, thank you. I'll just-
Silly lawyer. Sorry, I did forget to mention that you all have a copy of the spring report from Toy. This was really well done. I don't think they've done this before. I think it also is really representative of the varying interests that townships have across the state, since a lot of it was not necessarily of interest to us. And thankfully, we don't have to deal with the biodiesel issues and such. But the most important ones, obviously, are that the bill that myself, Niles, and Northfield had been lobbying for regarding the general assistance did pass. Since this report came out, it has been signed. So for the before the next budget, we will adopt a policy pursuant to that statute as to which of our programs we can put under general assistance, and then we can use our general assistance fund. Hooray! And hopefully get our fiscal house in order. Keep the smiling. And then the other one of interest is also about participation on nonprofit boards, trustees. In line with our conflict of interest policy, essentially says if you are appointed to a nonprofit board on behalf of the township, e.g. the Angel Fund or the Courier Fund, you are not, don't have to recuse yourself from voting related to those funds. But if you are not, if you're on a nonprofit fund that otherwise contracts with the township, you can still be on that board and be a trustee, but you must recuse yourself on issues of the funding. But that is now codified. So ahead of our times. Wonderful. All right, Mr. Clark.
There were three things I hope to address in the meeting. One is that I'm super happy to be back involved with talk and toy and all the involvement in the learning. Number two was that I was really happy to be able to go with Trustee Rubin and Supervisor. I really was fun. And then number two was to tell you how happy I was to be processed as a notary so that I can set regular office hours. What a convenience for residents. I could be here regular times. We can have I mean, it's always something we should do, particularly before the next election. We should let me know all the library board, any candidate, come up, meet with me. I'll be here for days and I'll just do it. It just makes it like scrambling. And then the third issue that I was excited to tell you about that already got addressed is that Melanie, happy Melanie, and you might regret it because I'll be asking you help a lot, particularly the Angel meeting. And I couldn't believe your Hollywood background. I'm like, maybe we'll have the annual town meeting. That is my report. That's if you've seen it, it's really cute.
You want to talk about talk?
We'll just say the state Senate president was there. We felt good vibe and real connection. It's just nice to see our involvement. They have improved just for the older, not old men, older trustees that have been here before. They weren't always up to this caliber. You'd be impressed the way it's running now.
It was much better.
It's just it moves and it's really more fun now too. Unfortunately, right up top. No, but I'm back on the executive board for the first too, so it's nice to be back and to have them ask questions because I was around a long time before and it's just kind of thrilling to me. And I should let the board know, I just did retire at the end of this school year from 33 years at the state. Thank you. It was always a big thrill to be a high school teacher. And then as you probably heard me say, being a clerk and social studies teacher, I've dreamed
All right, we have our financial report. Mr. Howard.
Okay, good to see everybody again. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. And you're now
Excellent.
host.
Okay, great. I'm going to share my screen and we can walk through the 5 months ended July 31st. Bear with me just 1 second. I just want to see if we can get this a little bit bigger. Here we go. Okay, so again, right now we're 5 months ended or 42% of the way through our fiscal year. You can see property taxes. That's the first installment we receive in March, in at 1.7 million or 51%. We are being told that the county will be sending out those tax bills due December 1st. So that's a little bit better than last year. So we'll see how the second installment comes in towards the end of the calendar year. Replacement tax, that's the business tax, comes in about 8 times a year, is at 72%. Interest, again, we've got our managed accounts in place, performing very well for us. We're already at 94% of that budget at about 16,000 collected. Passport fees has already exceeded its budget by 30% at 15,600. Some small other income amounts, but in total, 1.8 million in revenue. We budgeted 3.5, so we're at 52%. Again, looks very good considering we've received that first installment in property taxes. If you look through the expenditures, again, agency programs at about 34%, 525,000 spent there. Childcare services, 83,000 or 49%. All of these other percentages look very good. Some of the smaller numbers, again, skew upward in terms of the percentage, but not a whole lot dollar-wise. Most of these at or below that 42% on the major categories of expense. Building town hall, you can see at 44%. Same with financial assistance at 44%. Pantry's up a little bit at 59%. Again, that could be timing. It's also inflationary in terms of what food costs, those types of things. Personnel at 38%. That's one of our bigger budgets, as well as elected officials at 42%. So 1.2 million in total. We're budgeting 3.6, so we're at 34%. So again, under where we are in the year. So trending nicely in total. And that's really where we look at when we look at the percent of budget dollar amounts or percentages. Surplus right now, 624,000.
Stefan had a question.
Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm having trouble hearing.
What are commodities was the question?
Oh, commodities. We can go into that. It'll be laid out in the detail. Bear with me just 1 second. I'll scroll to it here in a minute.
Great.
We started with 1.4 million again in fund balance. So we're over 2 million in terms of ending fund balance, and that's going to actually relate to our cash position as well. So again, well funded. You can see here, though, I always want to point out kind of our strategy. Remember, we're trying to bring down some of the fund balance in GA. We're making that happen here. So again, that's kind of what you'll see towards the end of the year as well. That was our overall game plan that we laid out to bring down some of that fund balance. In terms of the distribution, property taxes 94%, replacement tax 4%, interest 0.9%, passports 0.9%, other 0.2%. And then on the expenditure side, distribution-wise, agency programs 44%, childcare about 7%, projects 2%, contractual services 6%, assessor 3%. Building town hall 5%, financial assistance 11%, the pantry 5%, personnel 14%, elected officials 1.5%. Again, still looking good in terms of revenues over expenditures 5 months in. Let's scroll down here into commodities just to kind of take a look at what makes up that category. This is our detailed report. Here you can kind of find what's underneath the categories. Right here, you can see I'm under commodities. It's office supplies. So right now we're at about 62%. That's typically just timing based, depending on when we're expensing some of those office supply needs. Other than that, I'm not going to go through each line account, but kind of take you to our bank balances. You can see over 2.1 million at each bank. Again, our Schwab accounts performing nicely. You can see that in the investment income number. We probably want to go back to BMO and continue to ask for a better rate there. Those rates are low given where we're seeing other banks are at in terms of money markets accounts. I know a lot of times the bank will say their hands are tied because they have to hold collateral for municipalities and local governments, but doesn't ever hurt to ask, so it's probably something we should go back and see if they can do anything for us. Other than that, the transaction list is here just to approve tonight in terms of the bills that go out the door. But I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board at this time.
We go to BMO, James, and ask them to do better, and they say no, then I think we have to pull out of there.
We don't have much
I mean-
left in there, but. Oh, wait,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, please.
No, I'm just saying it takes some time, obviously, to unravel a lot of the things that could be, otherwise linked by direct deposit, such as payroll. We've got our taxes coming in ACH, but it's definitely something, if they don't want to move, it would be something we'd have to take into consideration and maybe go out to RFP. Again, I think those rates are low, not competitive. So that I'm hoping that they'll look to move on those rates.
Okay. Well, we can discuss that, and the way to go about that.
James, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good. All right. I wanted to just ask, do we have a sense, I know it's low, but do we have a sense of, or, do you have a sense from, other accounts that you hold, that you manage? What should we be looking for? What should we be asking for? And is that something that you will do for us, or that we need to do ourselves? I just want to make sure of, whose court this particular ball is going to be in.
I think it'd be good for myself and the administrator and the supervisor to maybe get on a call again. We were on a call with BMO earlier in the year, I believe. Again, competitively, you probably need to be north of 3%. I mean, I can't imagine, 1% being their best offer. And I do work with other townships specifically that deal with BMO, and they're getting a better rate. So I know the branches are all a little bit different, and depending on who you talk to, but they should be able to run that up the chain and get us a better rate. And north of 3%, I would say, is the norm on a money market.
Thank you.
At some
Sure.
point, the borders on, on our part, not be a little more aggressive. I want to avoid any allegations by the taxpayers that we haven't been as aggressive as they do. So if we should be getting 3 to 4%, we're getting 89 basis points or 1. I feel like I know how time consuming this is, but I feel like we're dropping.
You're right. We should get on that. I will say we will have a presentation from Sawyer Faldudo at our next meeting on the status of our investments. But we're making money, right? It's been working. Grab
Going to Sawyer was a great, that was very responsive.
our money market yield is 4.68. So I don't think we included it in the board packet.
Because they're coming next month
Yeah,
to.
we should have sent this over to you. I'll include this in the board packet.
Okay.
Yes, it should have been included in your board packet. We will send you a copy of their latest report. But they will present at the next meeting. Yeah, but so far so good. Everything is up. I was saying to Larisha, I always look at things at how many community support grants, and we've got more, so. All right, James, continue.
That's really all I have. Just to, on the economic front, obviously the Fed raised again last meeting, another quarter basis points, trying to get inflation to 2%. Right now it's at 3%. But remember, for this year's levy, it's 6.5%. And again, that's locked in January for the 12-month look back period. So just something to keep in mind as we go to levy this November, December.
Great. Okay. And I have a couple of nits in here just to allocate things between the buckets, but for the most part, we'll chat. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Trustee Moser, to please do the town funds
old meeting that we didn't get to sign. That's for the old meeting.
Oh, so
we
that one
didn't
I'm
get to
just-
sign.
I'm signing. We've already approved that one.
Mhm.
So, all right, so we're looking at the next one, June and July 2023. Is there a second? Any additional discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Supervisor Eisenberg.
Yes.
Trustee Rubin.
Yes.
Trustee Moser. Trustee Robbins.
Yes.
And trustee Casal McDowell.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Okay, so we'll have this one passed around. Please sign both, since the May was already approved. Exactly. So on the, we'll actually discuss in a sec. So on the note of verification of claims, as you are aware, we have received a claim from Deputy Assessor Shiflett for $200.21 for his out-of-pocket medical expenses. As he included in his memo to you,
It is in everybody's brown folder.
as he included in his memo to you all, he had considered that to be a part of his remuneration. We had discussion back and forth. I had asked him to provide some sort of basis for our reimbursements. He instead provided this memo, and the memo now has shifted to being that Jan had made the decision that as a part of the compensation that he would be reimbursed for his medical expenses. That is different, obviously, from Diane having approved of something in an oral contract, because Jan has authority to set the compensation for her own employees. Diane does not have the authority to set compensation for Jan's employees. As a result, I do think that the statute is broad enough to include, if Jan so desires, the medical expenses in his compensation. So I asked her to provide a written document saying that that was her policy. That is what you have before you. It looks like this. So as a result, I wanted to bring it to this board if there was any thoughts that were different from that, but I am inclined based on this letter to approve it. Noting, it is true that Len would be treated differently from our other employees, but he is not a township employee. He is an assessor's employee. And as long as she doesn't exceed the budget approved, I think it is within her authority to provide it. And whether we think it is prudent or not is probably not for us to say. Any additional discussion? No, they are still separate from us. They have decided not to participate in the township's insurance program. Yes. Right. He doesn't like it.
Because when Diane left, obviously there was no transition between she and I. So when we went over to get more affordable insurance for the township, Leonard said, "Oh, you canceled and didn't tell me." But I did not know that Leonard was even on the township insurance because he's Medicare eligible. So, mhm.
He is back on the local government health plan. They have obtained their own EIN. It's going to cause immeasurable costs on the assessor's office. And I don't know how that will work. Yes.
Mhm.
Because the auditors are putting a note in our audit letter saying, please don't do this. I would appreciate any thoughts you might have. Apparently you can get an EIN pretty quickly and easily. Surprising. So yes.
When he puts his preferred policy up with benefits up against the policy that the township, the other policy, he feels that it's heads and tails more
That it-
advantageous.
He must. Yes.
And what kind of expense?
I mean, I don't think they've even done the numbers. You know, they're gonna have to get likely separate accountings. I mean, the reporting for IRS is gonna be different. Like you know, the ripple effects are going to be huge. Different reports to the state. It's a lot.
Our insurance provider did advise against it, did numerous emails as well. No,
Hmm?
she's not on the insurance at all.
Is there any presidential concern that if we were going to from jams or closing up this other topics, somehow be a precedent that could block us in our ability to test that might come up?
I don't believe so as far as the other concerns. Looking directly at the statute giving her authority to set compensation and benefits. Right. I think that the reimbursement can fit under that category of benefits. It does not say specifically what a benefit is. No, other than we approve their budget. If they were to go beyond their legal authority, we would not approve the budget. Not that I know of. Conflicts between townships and the assessor's office are fill the books in various ways, because it is such a weird relationship to have our taxing authority and their oversight authority be separate. She is paying for the local government's policy.
Tell you that because the local government health plan, I'm guessing it's conflicting because you can't have two primary insurances if you have Medicare. So they let him get back on the local government health plan, and they also told him that it wasn't a good idea. But I really don't know that. I dropped off of that communication once I turned him out of the township policy that we all are currently on. And he picked up communication with the local government health plan, and that's when the EIN was established.
And how I see it at this point is we have approved her budget, I believe it was at about 100,000, right? As long as she doesn't exceed that at this point, there's little we can do. But yes, we can certainly ask her for an explanation as well.
I think some of the issues were that there were medical bills that were being expense reported, and that's an issue because we don't expense report for the other employees' medical bills. We give them, give them money back for their supplemental policies if they're Medicare. That's what I do for Brian and for Jean.
So
Um,
that's how it all came about. I received an expense report with. And said, wait a second, that's not an accessible. It's not considered an expense under the Illinois Wage Payment Collection Act. It's not, business expense performed on behalf of the employer. And that's what an expense report's for. But she did approve those expense reports. So I, yes.
haven't gotten that yet.
Everyone can please speak up for the recording. Our League of Women Voters observers noting that she can't hear you this side. Yep.
He's not attached to that at all. Yeah,
Right. Well, we went to a policy now that the employees can use their essentially stipend or health insurance to either put more family members on or get vision or dental. That way we're spending up to the same amount
for
for
everybody.
everybody, and they can make a determination how to best use it. A little less paternity. Well, that's the question. At this point, I'd like to ask for approval of the claim. And, should you want to make a motion to table, that's fine as well.
Well, that's why.
Well-
That's why we have to order you.
It depends.
I mean, to talk-
Speak nice and loud, Elliot.
Valuable asset. to the assessor's office. Jan cannot do her job without that. There have been times where before the assessor's office got its autonomy, she wanted to bump up line in terms of compensation, and it didn't really accommodate her the way perhaps that she wanted to. But Len is a vital portion of that assessor's operation. On the other hand, in terms of what is reimbursable in terms of medical expenses and so on, the way the assessor's office operates should be consistent with, in my mind, with the way the township operates. So
Sadly, that's up to her,
That's
not
up
up
to
to us.
it's
Yeah,
up to her, but if she gets into a situation where she's spending too much of her budget reimbursing Len for medical expenses that might exceed the standard, then she's gonna come to us for an increase in budget, and it might be hard to properly fund the assessor's office. So we have to kind of keep that in mind and help her do her budgeting. In general sense. So, but right now, I mean, I want to have smooth sailing with Len as long as we can. And my inclination is to probably approve the small out of pocket. If we table it, I think it'll have the effect of causing aggravation and consternation.
Yeah, my question based on what, one of the things that you're saying. Do we have the authority to approve or not approve if this is within?
Right, so this is an approval of a claim. The claim has been made to the township. You know, coffers for 262.21. No, towards their budget. Right, so normally I just sign and call it a day. It gave me pause when I received the reimbursement report. I think that if you don't look at it as a reimbursement, which is what I was looking at it from an expense report, right? And instead look at it as a benefit as a part of his comp plan that she has a right to set, then I don't think I have the discretion. And I think it's a ministerial duty.
Autonomy to defend without approval from us. If I'm hearing
Right.
that.
Clarify one thing for me.
Much louder, guys.
Clarify one thing. Is this one part of the 100,000?
Yes.
Okay, so.
It is
that
not an
way, I
additional.
don't-
It's just a verification. It's just an approval of claims. So normally we have the verification, right? And it's after the fact. I'm asking as a part of this process to instead have a preemptive approval rather than verification, because it's not, it's a reversal of my previous thought. Well,
One word,
yes.
I don't see it as a half. You're- Approved claim.
You approve all claims on the township's funds. Sometimes you do them after the fact as a verification. That's what we've generally done. In this case, I'm asking for your approval before I sign.
So Jan sent runs his budget. But the 100,000.
Right, it'll be allocated to her budget, but I have to sign the thing. Yes,
There are two paragraphs in Jan's email to you, Gail, that I think are interesting. The first paragraph is per your email, August 3rd, 2023, in our follow-up conversation. This is your official notice that I approve Let's claim for reimbursement for out-of-pocket medical costs in the amount of $262.21, which was formally submitted to you on August 1st, 2023. Then skipping down one paragraph, the third paragraph is, I would always expect and intend to reimburse them for expenses incurred, quotation marks, on the job and the quotation marks. Since March 1st, 2023, I have considered that any expense report submitted to GA
which means government accounting. It took me a sec too.
and the government accounting was per se my authorization to pay it.
It's not exactly what I was asking for, right? Because obviously that goes back to, that goes in circles, right? I had said it's not an expense incurred on the job. My thought is that it's a benefit. As an expense, it's not an expense, right? So I just don't think she's being precise here, and I can certainly have her provide something more precise. But her intention based on the first paragraph is that it is a benefit. I know. See, that's why it's a pause.
Is there anything that you have authority to do that will prevent her from reimbursing the out-of-pocket expense out of her?
I cannot sign, but I'm telling you that I do not think that I have that ability to do so, to not sign. But physically, I could not sign. All right, then we will leave it at that. But I wanted to give you guys at least the update on it, since it was something we've discussed in open town meeting. Sure. Yes, exactly. All right, that's a good point. I appreciate that. Absolutely. I think your thoughts earlier, that she very much values him as an employee is why she feels the need to provide an extremely generous policy that goes beyond anything I've seen. And I read a lot of benefit plans in my role. I've never heard of anyone paying out of pocket medical expenses.
She said she can't hear online.
Oh, no. Okay, where we're leaving this is that we are going to go through the regular process. It'll appear on the verification of claims at the next meeting. In the meantime, my determination that I do not have authority to second guess the compensation and benefits decisions of the assessor's office will mean that I will sign it in my ministerial duties. Yep. No motion needed. Yep.
If I don't get this right in a minute, you guys are gonna forgive me.
We're in line for an assessor's report. Jan is not present, so we will skip her report. We're in line for public comments. Any comment from the public? Seeing none. New committee assignments for trustees. As you see, I am assigning mental health funding and oversight to Danielle Rubin, life stages funding, trustee Moser, disability support funding and oversight to Elliot Robbins, and strategic planning to trustee Cassell McNally. Kate has been in touch with Melanie about this project and had been in touch with Julie in an informal setting. We're hopeful to get this project actually rolling. I pulled up the old report from 2012, and it is past time to update. And actually, though I wanted to get it done prior, it does really go well with the decennial process. So we are being efficient, and that's what the decennial report wants us to tell them. We are being extremely efficient on that. Yes, completely. So they'll be the same. We'll end up using the same document. I am, yeah. Oh yeah, I don't reinvent wheels. Exactly. Yep. So our funding applications due in September. Steve sent out an email. It was yesterday or today. Just reminding people the first days of the committee meetings. So if you did not receive those, do let me know. And we will get the new agency allocation process started. I think we're excited. Good point. Yes, you're right. Yep. Times plus date certain. Staff reports. We have received. Peer jury will not be a committee. I will, of course, welcome any updates on the peer jury program. We spent this year really focusing on rejuvenating it, and I appreciate Elliot's work on that. Really meeting with every patient and all and the various municipalities was really helpful. Thank you. Appreciate that. Acknowledgement of staff reports. We've received staff reports from our township administrator, our food pantry manager / restorative justice coordinator, general assistance administrator, outreach and communications director, and our community partnerships coordinator. Would anybody like to pull anything out of these reports for discussion? Per the feedback to Stephen, his report is obviously a lot more fulsome. And really what I was looking for this whole time was just, I want to know what the agencies are doing. And I think it shows the public that we are watching them in between the funding cycles.
If we're gonna with regard to monthly.
Exactly. Fabulous. All right. Two. It is, I believe you're right. The Fall Wellness Fair. October 21st. Again at the Senior Center. Hopefully a lot simpler this year, now that we've got everything kind of in order. Just a matter of kind of re-inviting people and hopefully having just as good of a turnout, because it really was fabulous. So I hope everyone will come. We will have vaccinations, boosters, and flu. So very exciting. All right. Continuing business, Mayor's Monarch Pledge, Trustee Kate Casal McNally. 1 second.
All right, can you guys hear me?
You're good.
Sweet. So under a very technical reading, we're done. So remember, the Mayor's Monarch Challenge is done by the National Wildlife Federation, and we chose 3 action items this year. As a kind of broad overview, while we can choose whatever we want, we can also report back on whatever we want. So, the choice of 3 items is just to kind of get our creative juices flowing. And so we've already done 3 things. The first was the proclamation that we approved that was signed by Gail on June 13th, 2023. The second was the creation of the community art project by our wonderful friends at Our Place, which Gail mentioned during her report and hung in July and early August. So that's item number 9. And then item number 10, supporting a native plant sale. That plant sale, Melanie already pushed out today. Our amazing friends from Go Green Winnetka, which is also affiliated with Go Green Northfield, are holding their annual fall. It's in the fall each year. Their native plant sale. It's going to be in Indian Hill Park. And she, Melanie, got right on top of it as fast could be and pushed that out today. So, we will continue, as soon as I realized, frankly, how easy it is to do things like this, being the law school gunner I am, I'm going to be, just, grabbing things left, right, and center and figuring out what else we can do. A lot of this is publicizing what else other people are already doing. We've got a lot of great community groups, neighborhood groups, amazing gardeners who are doing a ton of work in, very literally, in the dirt. And we can be pushing out their messages without a lot of physical space of our own. So while I was admittedly a little bit nervous about undertaking this for our first year, we can already check the appropriate boxes, and I'll be working with Melanie about kind of additional creative ways that we can help to support our local pollinators and specifically our monarch butterflies. Does anybody have any questions before I turn things back over?
I think Trustee Rubin had an additional point on that.
I just wanted to let you know that we have an Eagle Scout. His name is Matt Maloney. He's with Troop Free Will Net. And his Eagle project, he is working on the restoration of the unused sector island at the intersection of Pontiac and Iroquois. And this involves a habitat plan for the recently endangered monarch butterfly species. So he's working on that right now. So just wanted to let you know about that. And Gail and I were talking about perhaps having him speak at the annual meeting. Hopefully we'll have completed the project by then.
That's awesome. Danielle, do you have contact information for him, or is there somebody that can maybe who is at the table and affiliated with Scouts who could hook us up? We would love to kind of get him on the socials.
I can definitely connect with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For what it's worth, I think it's fine monarch season right now. In August, I saw quite a few of them tonight in the backyard. They are out in force.
They are loving my native plant garden right now. My favorite.
I don't think that you guys can see it, but literally back there, you can kind of see it. We're on Cape Cod right now, but my girls are hell bent on with it's painted ladies, but you know, we're fostering, I guess is the technical term. So we're raising them and fostering them. So we'll be releasing them here in Massachusetts, because I don't think I can bring this back through TSA.
Wonderful. I'm sure the monarchs appreciate it. Any other discussion on the monarchs pledge? Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate. All right. So our sustainability coordinator contract. So part of the township officials of Cook County event was on intergovernmental agreements. I participated in it and was very interesting. But one thing that came out of it was we should probably have the board at least vote on the IGA, even though we had gotten approval to be a member of the IGA and for the allocation, but it doesn't hurt to bring it to the board. So that's why we're here. Because the best practice learned at the TAC conference. So you now have it in front of you. Obviously went through a lot of attorney review from each of the different municipalities. I would like to entertain a motion to formally adopt the intergovernmental agreement for sustainability coordinator services. Is there such a motion? So if you recall, that is our shared personnel between Wilmette, make sure I'm not forgetting one, Wilmette Park District, Village of Wilmette, Wilmette Public Library, Wilmette Public School District 39, and us. She is to organize our sustainability efforts across the different governments. For instance, our use is related to our solar panel project. So ensuring she did the analysis of the various vendors, made a suggestion as to which vendor, and will help us with any types of tax incentives, or not in tax incentives, but governmental incentives. 2000. Right, she has the expertise in the sustainability efforts to hopefully save us time and money on them. So I personally don't know of the government buildings and operations. I don't know. Oh, if you're doing certain states, grant money, but yes. No, it is not mandated. No, this was something we did as a voluntary program. So it's primarily funded by Wilmette and Wilmette Park District in the Village, with a much smaller percentage for the rest of us. And essentially, for the most part, they're using, you're using her for a lot of it is building sustainability. And that's what we're doing as well. It is. Yes, it certainly is one of the things that we're going to highlight on it, because that's what they're asking for, is areas where we can and we have created intergovernmental agreements. And as part of that process, I had Larisha contact all our municipalities to see if we had any other existing intergovernmental agreements. And the answer was none. We did used to have one with Winnetka. We had a shared social worker. Yes. But other than that, I don't understand how and why Winnetka is plowing the unincorporated areas, but thank you. So that's my official thank you to Winnetka. Should that probably be put into some sort of writing? Possibly. When I brought it up at that TAC meeting saying if an agreement doesn't exist, they said, well, it could just be a handshake. And I said, that is hurting my little lawyer heart. But it's very possible that sometime in the early 1900s, there was a handshake.
I mean, we should not vote on that.
Touche.
But stated on a couple of years ago that there might be some. Look, I think for $2,000 to get 55 hours of expertise, especially with the solar panel project, I
Right.
think it's a wonderful use of funds.
And as a reminder, we've already approved funds and the participation. It's just the agreement that we're approving.
Necessary in the township?
We'll put it this way. I had tried to do the solar panel discussion, analysis by myself and just found myself spinning my wheels. Could I have done it? Yes. But this way I had someone who knew what they were doing, who was able to check the references and choose vendors. And though I think, we probably would have been fine, the idea is that we're saving money on that $2,000.
Help us get the maximum break or benefit.
That's the
of
point.
5%.
That's all I thought about this year. And I think we'll use up our 55 hours on it. But if you have a thought for further projects for subsequent years, or if we do end up having additional hours, that's something we should definitely discuss. One thing we are doing, I don't think we were quite, but had our contractor up in the attic.
Oh, yeah, my report was already out.
Oh, it was before it happened.
Yeah, my report was already out, but long story short, when we got the masonry work done on the side of the building, Rocky noticed that we have a window up there which leads to the attic. There's an entry point here and there's an entry point out there. Basically the attic is unfinished, if that makes sense. There's live wiring up there that I'm having the electricians come and get rid of, tie off, whatever. They have to do that first, but the attic is also not insulated. So now we're on the hunt for insulation services, but I have to let the electricians do their thing first. Which is why you'll always see building maintenance on my board report, but it just keeps going. So I'll have them out here shortly. I signed a proposal for that today because I did tell the electricians that we need everything in writing, especially coming up on the decennial committee. It's just a good practice anyway. But yeah, they're up there. It looks like construction that was started but not finished. And with the building being so old, it's a very weird configuration. You can only get like halfway up and then you have to come the other way and go up. It's very strange. I doubt it. Unless we were to do a ton of work. It just looks like somebody was trying to fix things and kind of like left things undone. We do need to insulate it, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Assuming
because
sold
we're done
hours,
with the
which I
solar
think-
panel project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, right.
We're done with the
yeah.
solar panel project.
consider
We're
that
in
as
the
this-
permitting process, so, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And the concept also is there's so much moving in the state, CEJA with all these other federal programs that is beyond my expertise to know all the different grant programs and incentives that are out there. But if she's doing that for everybody, we're all benefiting from her expertise. Only one person has to be obsessed with that. And she wants to be obsessed with
And then $2,000 for 55 hours.
We're definitely not even at half of our hours, I don't think.
it. She can help with
Yeah,
that.
for the solar, I'll ask her how many hours, but the solar panel project is already in the permit phase, so we're done with that. I know we have some hours left though, so I'll be reaching out to her tomorrow.
So yeah, that's an area where she can be of use. And hopefully we can get some sort of incentive for that, for saving the good people. All right.
Can I just throw in my 2 cents on this one? I was fortunate enough to be working with her with Larisha as part of the kind of beginning of the solar panel project. I found her to be incredibly efficient. She was the one that was kind of calling the meeting, moving things along, said, I've got enough to, I've got enough information, we're going to stop. And, she was very clear about, being on the clock and, really held us to accounting for time. So, I feel very confident that we are getting our money's worth out of this situation, and that she is being respectful of the time that she is putting into things, and not just, she's not dragging things out without it being necessary.
Not turning the file, if you will. Unless there's any more discussion, I'll call the question. Yes. I move for approval of the IGA. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. We already approved the money. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
But any financial thing is supposed to.
Please do.
Supervisor Eisenberg,
Yes.
trustee Rubin,
Yes.
trustee Moser, trustee Robin.
Yes.
Trustee Cassell McNally.
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, our new business. One of the bills that was, that you saw in that lovely report from Township officials of Illinois was that the Open Meetings Act was revised to allow for remote participation for unexpected childcare obligations. So we're making the attendant change to our own policy so that we can go as far as the law allows us. So that is the only change to this policy that we are making here. I would seek a motion to approve the revised electronic participation in township meetings policy. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
I will take one of you as a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we thank Representative Didich for his championing this issue after his second baby. All those in favor, please say aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Seeing none, sign that. Eight. For you, sir. And we'll get that online. Any additional new business? Seeing none, we will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? See you September 12th, 2023 for the exciting audit reports and the report of the investments. Thank you, everyone.